100%เพราะอะไรก็ข้าราชการก็จะใช้โอกาสนะเขาบอกยูก็ลงทะเบียนหรือเปล่ายูจดทะเบียนนี่ไงดูมี decoration ด้วยล่ะ Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Foreign Correspondent Club of Thailand. My name is Phil Robertson. I'm a board member of the FCCT and I'm going to be the moderator tonight for this important panel, which is called Equality for LGBTQ plus persons in Thailand, a goal within reach? ? Before I say a little bit more about the panel and introduce what we're going to be talking about tonight, I wanted to just mention that there are a couple of upcoming events at the FCCT, particularly this coming Friday, the 11th, where these walls that are currently empty right now, except for the very nice flags in the back from the Samrut Tautiem Gan group, we're going to fill these walls with art by the street artist Headache Stencil. And there'll be an exhibition, an opening on Friday, the 11th of March at 6:30 p.m. So, recently the status of LGBTQ plus persons in Thailand has been at the fore of Thai politics. A draft marriage equality bill has currently been scrutinized by the government. But this comes against a backdrop of recent failures to affirm LGBTQ plus rights, including government failures to recognize gender identity and a constitutional court ruling that struck down the hopes of many in the LGBTQ plus community. At the same time, there is an emergence of LGBTQ figureheads and social and political movements across the country, especially in the pro-democracy movement. On February 9th, the marriage equality bill proposed by the opposition Move Forward Party was voted in by the Parliament in its first reading by a 219 to 118 margin with 13 abstentions. However, using a provision of the Constitution, the Cabinet has temporarily halted progress, invoking a rule that pulls the bill into a mandatory 60-day study period in which the government will study and assess that law. Civil society campaigners from the LGBTQ plus community and allies have also drafted a bill which has gathered now more than 297,000 signatures and counting from citizens via their website, and they pledged to introduce it at the appropriate time in the Parliament as well. The government's official line that it supports legislation to establish civil partnerships, which would be separate from the current marriage law. However, there's been very little news about the government's legislation over the past 2 years, leading to some serious questions about what priority the Prayut administration is placing on reform. Meanwhile, in November 2021, a constitutional court decision slammed the door on efforts to find Civil and Commercial Code Article 1448 unconstitutional. That ruling reaffirmed that under current laws, marriage registration can only happen between heterosexual couples. Rigid rules on legal gender recognition and inability of transgender persons to change their gender in official documents also remain continuing problems that enable discrimination and abuse against transgender people. As documented in a recent report by Human Rights Watch, there's some copies on the registration table as you come in. Now, LGBTQ plus activists have put up a fight. They're playing high-profile roles in street protests for same-sex marriage and other issues, as well as broader concerns about human rights and democracy as part of youth-led protests across the country. And this has also resulted in debates and disputes within the community on issues and tactics for achieving their goals. We're going to hear from a panel of 4 distinguished persons who are in the leadership of the efforts to reform the laws and reform the situation for LGBTQ plus persons across the country. We invited the Ministry of Justice, particularly the Rights and Liberties Protection Department. We sent them a letter, requested their presence, setting out what we hoped that they would come and bring. Unfortunately, they declined to appear. And I would say, just as an aside, and on a personal note, it's very disappointing because this government has said a number of different times that it is determined to find a way forward on issues of marriage equality. But the lack of progress over the last 2 years, I think, has now become quite glaring. The government has said to particularly the international community that they wanted to follow in the footsteps of Taiwan and other countries where LGBT rights and marriage equality have been recognized, but we just at this point don't see it. So we're going to hear from 4 speakers. I'm going to first ask Kun Thanyawat Kamongwat, who is a member of parliament from the Move Forward Party and a spokesperson for the Committee on Children, Youth, Women, Older Persons, Persons with Disabilities, Ethnic Groups, and LGBTs to speak about not only the law that he introduced in Parliament, but also the latest updates on what's happening. So the floor is yours.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Thanyawat, Member of Parliament from Move Forward Party, the one who brought up the marriage equality bill into the Parliament. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Phil Robinson and FCCT for having me this evening for sharing what's update about the marriage equality situation. First, about 2 years ago in 2020, in June, I brought up the bill into the Parliament, and like Mr. Robinson said, there are so many people interested and then waiting so badly for equality. There are, more than 50,000 people comment about in this bill. It's a phenomenon in the political history Thailand. So what happened now? Before I go to what update now, I want to tell you about there are 4 essentials in this bill. What is the 4 essentials? First, changing the word man and woman become a person. So no matter who you are, no matter what gender they are, they can marry each other, equality like man and woman. Second, I change husband and wife become a spouse, so it's cover every gender. And third, no matter gender they are, they can be the one who engage, who active or passive in any gender. And last, I changed the age from 17 to 18 following the children's rights in international law. That is 4 essential. It's easy and simple thing that I have a chance in the Parliament. I have a time to talk many parties, many members of Parliament about that family creation is a fundamental unit in our society. It's a human rights. And when I said to anyone, I said, nobody disagree about that. They do agree about that, but it's not in the public, but they do agree. They understand what happened in Thailand. But after 2 years, marriage equality bill in the pipeline, and finally in the last February, like you see on the Parliament, a marriage equality bill come into the Parliament, and then I start first debate. And what happened next? The first debate in the first term not has done yet because I'm not. I have not conclusion yet because I have one more speech for conclusion in the first term. But the considering in the parliament was stopped, and then the cabinet took the marriage equality bill for 60 days, and they told to the public that they want to considering about this bill, especially because the bill is from opposition. You know, if you saw my Twitter, you will saw. It's not a joke. You know, you saw my clip that I sitting in beside some of ministry, some of the member of parliament, which different side from me, and then I asked about their opinion, what they think about the marriage equality bill. Everybody said, "Okay, it's great, it's equality. I go for that." I understand, but what happens when finally they vote for freezing 60 days? So if I said to you, if I said to you truly, okay, in the constitutional, on the last constitutional, they has all the right to freeze things for 60 days, especially from bill from the opposition. But anyway, finally, about 2 days ago, I have a meeting with many of department in Thailand about my bill. On Monday, on the last Monday, I will read it to you. I met in the CRE. I met the Comptroller General Department. I met Rights and Liberty Protection Department. I met Department of Social Development and Welfare. I met Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I met many human rights lawyer experts. I met Department of Administrative Affairs. I met family. I met so many departments in Thailand to explain what is marriage equality. I have already told them, explained to them about the principle, and answer the question that they want to ask me. But you know, in that meeting, they afraid. They don't afraid anything. You know, at first I think that. Like Kun Visanu said, Kun Visanu said that they worry about the budget for same-sex marriage. But you know, when I was in the meeting, nothing to worry, you know, because the welfare and the Comptroller General Department don't worry about anything about the budgeting. But you know, before, civil partnership is been working for like more than 7 years right now. So the Rights and Liberty Protection Department pop up about the civil partnership, and then they want to articulate with the marriage equality. But I said to them that it's a different principle, you know. Civil partnership is civil partnership. Marriage equality is marriage, and wedding is wedding. It's different. I tell them it cannot be articulated together for extraordinary committee working, you know. So if you want to continue about civil partnership, you go on. It's a different term because it's different principle, cannot articulate together. It should be separate. It should be separate in the term of the considering in the parliament. Different marriage equality. If the government want to compare my bill, the government should make a draft, and the principle will be the same marriage equality. So it can be articulated together. So I tell them like that. But you know, like I said to you, they work for civil partnership for a long time, and they want to put put the civil partnership law passed in the parliament, all the NGO, all the activists talk about this, that civil partnership is not equality. It's different, you know. So the people need, like you see, the hashtag same-sex marriage, marriage equality in Thailand is going up on Twitter in the first #1 hashtag for, you know, a week in the when I brought up this bill in the parliament. And like I said to you, they talk about okay, I don't want to say who said that, but they said that, okay, cabinet have already resolution for pass the civil partnership. Okay, I don't have a problem with that, you know. I don't have a problem with civil partnership if the civil partnership gonna work for every gender. You know, it's different. It's a different lifestyle, and the people can choose. Go on. It doesn't mean the cabinet cannot make another resolution for marriage equality. I think that is the talking. It seems like that you have to choose that. Choose about between marriage equality or civil partnership. But I try to defend that it's no need to choose because it's different. So the marriage equality working on the extraordinary commission is go on, and who has another bill, okay, come and articulate together and working, and every member in the parliament has their own amendment, you know. They can change anything they want, and civil partnership can go in the civil partnership way. It's different. So my solution is, I think the solution is go first at the two solutions. First, if the government want to compare my bill of marriage equality, the government will do marriage equality and articulate together. Is a first solution. And the civil partnership is separate, different terms. And second, I think that because somebody said in the meeting that I don't want to name him, and okay, him, and he said like, okay, if you like, they push so much civil partnership and they talk about that marriage equality will not pass. At the end of the meeting, I said to him that if the cabinet don't pass the marriage equality, the cabinet will say to the society, the cabinet will have to tell what happened, what they think, why they don't pass it to the LGBTQ community. You know, because right now Thailand has an election, so it will reflect, it will affect the cabinet finally if they don't have good enough reason to say no marriage equality. And then I said, second, if the marriage equality will not pass, it's good for me or it's not good for me. If you think it's over, it's good for me because in the next election, I'm going to bring up the marriage equality for election campaign again. But I don't want it. I don't want it to pass. Cabinet, if you afraid, scared, move forward party, you should pass this bill because I don't have any campaign for the next election. I tell him like this. So after I talk, so everything is quiet, you know, and I have a chance to talk about the decree about that, to persuade him to give information what about marriage equality, and then the decree said yes, and then he gonna do his best, and I share something that I cannot share, but many people in the meeting is in our side, but it depend on cabinet. If you have a power, if you are the one who have power, and the people around you tell you the liar, tell you the something not clear, and tells you something that is not the truth, the power will be gone soon. If you listen the people out there, the power will be with you. I want to tell the cabinet this, that if you have a power, you have to listen, not just listen the one only beside you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are also streaming this on Facebook Live. And for those who are joining us online, if you have questions for the panel, please put them in the comments section of that Facebook Live program. We will have someone who is monitoring that. And at the end of all the speakers having their statements, then we will have question and answer. And we'll have question and answer from obviously here in the room, but also from people who are asking questions online. Next, I want to ask Kun Patricia Doing Cham to say a few words. She's from Rainbow Unity for Marriage Equality. This is a coalition of LGBTQ groups that have been working on their own draft law that they want to propose into Parliament. So far, they have over, I think, 297,000 signatures from Thai citizens. And I want her to explain what they're doing, what they hope, how that's going to fit also with the bill that Sosotan has proposed, and also where they see this movement going. So, over to you.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Dongcham. I'm from Girl S Girl, is a women-loving women community, and is one of the Rainbow Coalition for Marriage Equality. For that all, if you are Thai, either you live in Thailand or you live in another country, please go to www.support1448.org and sign your name, please. Okay. Why do we need the Rainbow Coalition for Marriage Equality? First, on 17 November 2021, the Thai Constitution Court ruled that Article 1448 of the Civil and Commercial Code, which states that marriage can only be constructed between a man and a woman, does not violate Section 27 of the Constitution, which states that all the persons are equal and equally protected under the law. Is also observed that Parliament, the Cabinet, and other relevant agencies should draft legislation to grant rights to LGBTQ people. The civil society have done a lot of activity, more than 20 years. One of that, the ruling was made after a petition filed by Phom Sap Sae Eung and Phuong Phet Hang Kam was forwarding to the Constitutional Court by the Central Juvenile and Family Court. Phom Sap and Phuong Phet filed a complaint with the Central Juvenile and Family Court in the early 2020 after they were denied marriage legislation by the Bangkok Yai district of it, and asked the court to either order the legislator to register their marriage or to forward their complaint to the Constitutional Court to rule whether Article 1448 violates the Constitution. And what we do, civil society is moving to put their own bill on marriage equality before Parliament on 28 November 2021 during a protest at the Ratchaprasong intersection. The Rainbow Coalition for Marriage Equality, a network of over 56 civil society organizations and activity groups launched a petition proposing amendment to the civil and commercial code to allow marriage legislation between two people of any gender. The petition proposed to amend Article 1448 of the Civil Commercial Code, which governs marriage, so that marriage legislation is allowed between two people of any gender instead of only between a man and a woman. It is also proposed to raise the age of which people can legally marry from 17 to 18 years old. We support to the child not married under 18. Moreover, that we found that a lot of have a lot of gender minority. We would like to change to gender neutral. The petition also proposed to replace the terms men and women to person, husband and wife to lawful spouse, mother and father to parents. What we will get next, if you support us, the amendments will grant LGBTQ plus couple the same rights, duties, and legal recognition as heterosexual couple, including the right to adopt a child together and be recognized as the child's parent, the right to have the power of attorney to make medical decisions on behalf of one's partner and to place charges on behalf of one partner, the right to use one partner's last name, and the right to inherit property from each other without the need for a will. As I am a founder and the leader of Girl X Girl, I can give the example. We have a lot of the open discussion every Thursday night, 9 p.m. on Clubhouse and Twitter Space. We found that a lot of loving women couple cannot marry, and if they want a child, that the technology can support, they have it, but we cannot do it in Thailand. Why not? And if we have the couple that is a foreigner, it have the problem too, because they have to go to another country every 3 months. Why we cannot live together in Thailand? What we need, please just scan, sign, and that's it. Please support us. The petition, which gained over 100,000 overnight, now has over 297,000 signatures. And I think it's will counting more and more. Please. I know that you will one of that in the future. Please support us, please. Last but not least, 20 protesters and activists have been charged with violation of the emergency decree for participating in the 28 November 2021 rally at the Ratchaprasong intersection to call for the marriage equality. I just want to ask you all, this is lab or the emergency decree chart? What is it? And thank you. If you didn't sign yet, please go to support1448.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And very nice presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's amazing. 297,000 signatures is really quite a lot. I mean, having experience with civil society, there's always these campaigns to try to generate signatures to support legislation to be proposed into Parliament. And usually you hear they have 10,000 signatures or 20,000 signatures, but this is almost 300,000, so it's quite impressive. Next, I'm going to ask Kun Chinsanapong Nitiwana, who's the founder and director of the Young Pride Club of Chiang Mai, to say a few words. I want to thank Equal AF Foundation, who supported her to be able to come down and join us on short notice. And I hope she can give us a perspective not only from the provinces, but also, I think, from the youth and the transgender perspective as well. So the floor is yours.
All right. Hello. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bess, and I'm from Chiang Mai. Thank you, Kun Phil, for introducing myself. I mean, me. So first of all, let's go back to our topic. Our topic is equality for LGBT person in Thailand, right? But one of the interesting things that a lot of people, international community trying to focus on the absence of legislation recognizing same-sex marriage or marriage equality in Thailand, which caused abundant cases of unfair discrimination of a same-sex couple or gay and lesbian couple. However, we can look through another aspect as well within the community, which is who are transgender, who are non-binary, or even though there are young people who are not be able to access the right to have a family or the right to marry. I'm talking about the young LGBT people who's in the school, who are in the university, or even though they are a first jobber or just about to get their job or about to get out of their job because of their employer realize that they are LGBT people. So apart from absence of the registration recognizing marriage equality in Thailand, even though we have the Gender Equality Act 2015, however, Thai government implementation to protecting this LGBT people by this law that state that they're trying to eliminate any cases of unfair discrimination on the basis of gender. Their implementation are not effective, which cause a lot of discrimination toward our community, especially young people. Young Pride Club was established as we are the survival of this unfair discrimination. As I am a transgender, a lot of my friends are transgender people and non-binary people. They are not able to wear a uniform matching their gender identity, which is very absurd. When you think about the reputation of the Thai LGBT community, you can see that a trans community can wear a costume very outrageous, looks so nice, but these violence are existing in our community for a long time. Even me, I was born in 1995 and I graduated just 7 years ago. It's still happening, and these are still ongoing and existing. I'm talking about our research in 2020. We're trying to implement a project gathering young LGBT and trans from 4 regions of Thailand coming to Chiang Mai and do a workshop so they can recognize the rights of LGBT people, and they can see that their regions or their university have the discrimination on it. We realized that we do the survey to 100 LGBT students in the university, and we realized that they agree that, sorry for my English, but they agree that more than 60%, they agree that the environment in the university are LGBT friendly. But when we ask about there is any regulation, official announcement, or any term that's trying to protect them from unfair discrimination, whether are from their friends, whether are from their professor, teacher, none of this exist. And luckily, in 2020, Thammasat University was one of the first university, also the Thaksin University, proposed the regulation that allow all genders to wear a uniform or express their identity in the higher education area. However, when we talk about they're trying to propose the existing regulation, we have to think about the implementation again, because it's become arbitrary judgment from the professor, from the tutor, or the officer, that they can justify that this person doesn't look like trans, so you cannot wear a costume matching your gender identity. Or sometimes they ask you so many documents that you have to pay for that. You have to access the medical center to get it, or you have to go to ask your parents even though you are in the university. So these are the things that are still happening. And when we talk about equality in Thailand, this story are under many of the things that we are trying to push. One of the last things that I would like to say is that when we seen a lot of, I'm talking about scenes of LGBT people, we've seen the establishment of entertainment industry of transgender, drags, LGBT. But when we think about the inclusive amenity or facility in the education institution, none of these are existing. Trans people are still get, like uncomfortable to go to the toilet. They are uncomfortable with asked to stay in the dormitory, which is assigned by their sex at birth. And during the pandemic, some of my friends were assigned to be the patient in the, the temporary, the hospital, so they have to stay in the room where their gender are accordingly. So these are one of the things that we have to move collectively with the marriage equality, with the young people, and with the any generation in the in Thai community. And one of the last thing I really appreciate for my presence today, thank you EqualF again, and thank you Kun Phil, is that we need more representation of our community to be portrayed, not just being a trans. I feel so privileged that a trans people always be in the front of the movement, but a trans people of, like my friends who are trans men, who are non-binary, are not able to speak up and are not able to talk about their issue. So yeah, this is one of the things that I would like to address, and thank you, Kun Phil.
Thank you, Kun Best. Thank you very much. And now we're going to finally turn to Kun Sukriya Waniyuwat, who's the co-founder of the Free Gender Thailand. I want to thank her for agreeing to appear at the very last minute, once we realized that the Ministry of Justice was not going to send a representative. So I'm not expecting you to say what they would say, but I would like you to explain how you see the situation with the LGBT movement, what's going on with marriage equality, and the other issues that you see that are important to discuss in terms of reform in Thailand.
Thank you, Phil. So as first, poor ministry. If you ask me what young people are seeing and feeling about the issue affect LGBTQ community, at first, after listen to three representatives today, I'm so grateful, and like how we work hard and what we have to get. Why not we get it yet? Okay. In last 3 or 4 years, there has been increase in understanding regarding issue of LGBTQ community in Thailand. Due to greater access to news and information from people calling out on gender discrimination in society, like what you see in news, when asked how us as a younger generation view this issue, as previous I mentioned it, what's happened is simply that youth are becoming more aware of equality than you see in your sign. I believe that the most of them, or more than 50% are young people. Then, however, in other part of our society, people sometimes have the notion of accepting LGBTQ. People outside the family, like, they really accept, it's fine if you are LGBTQ, but it cannot accept when your daughter, your son, your nephew tell you, come out that they are LGBTQ. Or some classic Thai word, like, you can be anything, but you have to be good person. Like, what? Like, do I have, do I? So, which are still conditional acceptance words. Some of the very old generation view LGBTQ people as being mental ill and require medical treatment. Like, some people still think like that, which is big problems when it's big problem, like when you're part of your family or your member family think that LGBT are something like weird. But it's worse. It's bigger problems than when the old generation, this kind of old generation, become people who work in position with control this society, this country. They can be headmaster in school, they can be doctor in hospital, they can be politicians, or even judges of the constitutional court. Like, you saw it. This is not individual problems, but it's structural problems. It has always been an elephant in the room for decades. This caused like discrimination both in public or like private sector. Examples such as an LGBTQ people cannot express themselves nor live as their gender. Like, you will see news about, especially in like public sector, like teachers who is LGBT, then they cannot express themselves. They have to sign like MOU with school that they will not like tell or do something with their pathway. So it's not only case that teachers, is also like student like once I saw the news that student was like mock up, that like bully, that they are LGBT and they dive in suicide. This is very like it's a big mistake of this society who create this. It's not only another student, but it also teacher. Like, after that student date, teacher yet in interview to the journalist that, he is not LGBT, this is not his age. Like, what? Like, you have to tell them that it's not about what it's not about the age, but it's about what they are. I just heard from Phil yesterday that I have to talk, so I talked to another member of Free Gender Thailand. Not is a medical student in a member of Free Gender Thailand too, and not said that even occupation that should have understood the rest and respect gender diversity, including being source of information for the public on this subject matter, such as a doctor, it is still neglecting proper equal treatment with their patient. Thai medical schools do not have lessons or protocol on LGBT patient care, like Pibe said, that they still separate hospitals in two wards, like into male and female, and they still use the wrong pronouns with the patient. Like, in inclusive city, inclusive hospital, they even note about like what patient want them to call it, the preferred pronoun, right? When the system does not support art, we are being ignored by society. Worst of all, the people in charge wish the authority to change the system. Do not view gender segregation, gender discrimination as a problem at all. Like you saw it in the verdict of Constitutional Court. The youth, however, still have hope. And like we're sitting here because we still have hope and still empower each other every day. So this why today in this room it is a positive energy. Then it pass into everyone who wishing to change this society. Although many times that we fight with anger toward the patriarchal, authoritarian, or uncivilized states. So we still fight with love and respect in our humanity. How we are at those issues, right? What us younger generation are continuing doing is to be aware and to pass on this awareness to other people. We talk a lot on Twitter, right? Everybody talk on Twitter and try to give more information to everyone. Please be more sensitive, more sensitivity, more inclusive to people in community. Then including people like our friend in real life, our family. We do it so hard, and through sending information to decrease the gender bias. And especially in last 2 years, the youth demonstration and organization and participated in raising awareness, even though they are organization not directly relate to this issue, right? An example for bad student, นักเรียนเลว or bad student, the issue is about education, right? But they also have the pride parade to the Ministry of Education for an issue about discrimination in school. Some of the organization coming, I just have my own organization for work about gender in political for these 2 years, that as a free gender movement. So now I'm studying in Chulalongkorn University, and I have many friends in another university, and in the university level there are events organized by student committee. We can clearly see that the seminar in university becoming more diverse and more intense in last couple years. The youth are also trying to push the amendment of the marriage equality law through the petition. So as I told you, I believe that more than 50% are signing the petition are mostly from the younger generation. Even though we have not success yet, but in practically due to the homophobic judge, as evident from the Constitutional Court verdict, but we still preserve. However, we still lack of our representative within in community and facing this issue directly. There are some representative here, which is a good sign, but we still need our voice and to be heard more. Finally, we, the younger generation, know that change will come through a cooperation of everybody in this society, in this room. even though it is slow, but Thai society will get better in each passing day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's a microphone in the back of the room. So if people have questions for the panel, you are welcome to go back and ask your question. Please identify who you are, and if you have any affiliation, please state that as well. Also, if you're trying to direct it to a specific speaker, please indicate that. I will also mention that online there is the comment section of the Facebook Live. The FCCT Facebook page is ongoing, and people can also write questions there, and we will direct them to the panel. So the floor is open. I'm going to say anybody who wants to ask a question, please go ahead. Go to the back of the room and ask the question. And please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Naran Hora. I am part of the Equal Asia Foundation here in Bangkok, and I have a question for Mr. Thanyawat over here. I was wondering if, in the upcoming elections, if any other party has marriage equality in a part of their manifesto currently.
ว่าในการเลือกตั้งครั้งต่อไปอะค่ะเท่าที่ทราบนี่มีพรรคการเมืองอื่นที่จะชูเรื่องสมรสเท่าเทียมเป็นแคมเปญเลือกตั้งด้วยไหมคะ
I really don't know yet. That is, like you know, marriage equality is become a big topic, a big issue in Thailand. Of course, as a party, they can choose. They should bring the marriage equality for election campaign. But like you know, about the Thainess, there are something that we cannot explain, that except LGBTQ community, except okay, you are LGBTQ, but we accept with conditional, you know, is conditional love, conditional exception. But I think that every party can brought this up, marriage equality. But I absolutely know that the people will know who is truly, deeply work for this. Yeah, and then I think the people will choose the party who deeply working about marriage equality. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for question.
Okay. Okay, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Can I ask a question in Thai? Okay.
ตอบคำถามภาษาไทยก็ได้นะ
ได้
ฮะ
ค่ะ
จะแนะนำตัวด้วยนะครับ
ค่ะวาดดาวนะคะ ชุมาพรแต่งเกลี้ยง LGBT activist ค่ะขออนุญาตถามข้อแตกต่างระหว่าง draft ของประชาชนนะคะ แล้วก็ draft ของพรรคก้าวไกลซึ่งมันมีข้อแตกต่างอยู่ แล้วก็ข้อแตกต่างนั้นอยากถามสสธัญวัฒน์นะคะเพราะข้อแตกต่างนั้นมันพูดถึงเรื่องการไม่แก้ไขในหมวดของบิดามารดาอยากทราบเหตุผลแล้วก็ถ้าหากว่าตัวกฎหมายของพรรคก้าวไกลผ่านไปแล้วจะทำยังไงกับครอบครัวที่มีครอบครัวมารดาบิดาหรือว่าทำเรื่องของพาสของบุพการีค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
ค่ะก็จริงๆแล้วในประเด็นนี้นะคะก็ตอบคุณวาดดาวนะคะก็คือสาระสำคัญของบิลนะครับสมรสเท่าเทียมเนี่ยเราพูดถึงการแก้ชายหญิงนะคะเป็นบุคคลการแก้สามีภรรยาเป็นคู่สมรสนะคะแต่ทีนี้กลุ่ม LGBT เนี่ยทำไมถึงไม่แก้คำว่าบิดามารดานะคะเพราะว่าบิดามารดาเนี่ยจะมีกฎหมายที่กระทบเป็นวงกว้างนะคะเป็นพันฉบับนะคะนั่นหมายถึงว่ากฎหมายที่กระทบเนี่ยจะเป็นเกี่ยวกับประเด็นในเรื่องของการสืบสายโลหิตนะคะการสืบสายโลหิต นั่นหมายถึงว่าการนับลำดับญาตินะคะการรับรองบุตรที่ผู้หญิงนั้นมี100%ที่จะคลอดบุตรแล้วลูกเป็นของผู้หญิงโดยที่ผู้หญิงไม่จำเป็นต้องรับรองบุตรใช่ไหมคะแต่ผู้ชายเนี่ยจะต้องรับรองบุตรภายหลังผู้ชายต้องคือพูดง่ายๆผู้ชายต้องรับว่าเนี่ยคือลูกเขาอะเพราะผู้ชายอย่าลืมนะผู้ชายไม่มีทางรู้ว่าผู้หญิงท้องหรือลูกที่เลี้ยงอยู่เป็นลูกตัวเองหรือเปล่าถูกไหมฮะถ้าไม่ได้ตรวจ DNA มันมีปัจจัยในเรื่องของสิทธิเด็กนะคะหลายๆอย่างทีนี้นั่นหมายถึงว่านั่นคือการสร้างครอบครัวด้วยการสืบสายโลหิตนะแต่ LGBTQ เนี่ยสร้างครอบครัวด้วยสายสัมพันธ์นะคะนั่นหมายถึงว่าเราพูดง่ายๆคือเป็น unconditional love นะคะการที่เราอุปการะเด็กหนึ่งคนเขาไม่ได้จำเป็นต้องมีเลือดเนื้อเชื้อไขของเราเขาไม่ได้จำเป็นที่จะต้องเกี่ยวดองทางใดทางหนึ่งกับเราทางสายเลือดแต่เรารักเขาเราต้องการที่จะดูแลเขาเราก็อุปการะได้นะคะดังนั้นนั่นหมายถึงว่าการสร้างครอบครัวเนี่ยโดยภาพรวมก็คือการสร้างครอบครัวด้วยสายสัมพันธ์แต่ชายหญิงที่มีบุตรก็คือจะสร้างครอบครัวด้วยสายโลหิตนะคะประเด็นต่อมาก็คือการที่เราพูดถึงในเรื่องการสืบสายสัมพันธ์เนี่ยในมุมหนึ่งสมรสเท่าเทียมจะสร้างความเสมอภาคคือการกระจายสินทรัพย์ออกจากคนที่มีครองทรัพย์มาด้วยสายเลือดตระกูลใหญ่ๆนะใช่ไหมมันก็เกิดความมั่งคั่งเกิดความเหลื่อมล้ำแต่ถ้าเกิดเราทำตรงนี้นั่นหมายถึงว่าการ adopt คนที่ไม่ได้อยู่ในสายเลือดเนี่ยเราทำให้เห็นว่ามันเป็นการกระจายสินทรัพย์ออกไปสู่นั่นคือสู่ความเสมอภาคนะคะโดยสรุปก็คือว่าส่วนเรื่องการวิทยาศาสตร์เกี่ยวกับการตั้งครรภ์นั้นก็แก้แค่2 คำนะคะมันก็จะไม่ได้มีปัญหาอะไรแต่ anyway ค่ะใจความสำคัญก็คือการสร้างครอบครัวด้วยสายโลหิตการจัดทรัพย์สมบัติด้วยสายโลหิตกับการสร้างครอบครัวด้วยสายสัมพันธ์และการจัดสรรทรัพย์สินด้วยสายสัมพันธ์ค่ะ
I'm going to ask our very hardworking translator Kunat to render that into English for those who don't speak Thai.
So Kun Wat Dao, who is
Speak right into the microphone, yeah.
Kun Wat Dao, who is an LGBTQ activist, asked about the difference between Move Forward Party's version of the marriage equality bill and the version of the civil society campaigners. So she also wants to ask Kun Thanyawat why the MFP is not amending the chapter regarding father and mother. And afterwards, if the MFP's version is passed by the parliament, what the party will do next. So Kun Thanyawat answered that his party's version changed from the word man and woman to persons, but did not change about the father and mother because it will affect a lot of laws. About 1,000 laws will be affected. So such as the bloodline succession, such as the child certification and child rights, and the difference between the family who are connected by blood is that they have inheritance through their bloodline, but for the LGBTQ family, they have the succession based on their affections. So when the LGBTQ, according to this bill, can adopt a child, and that child, there's no need to have a blood connection with the parents.
It's called unconditional love.
And it's called unconditional love. Yes. So the difference between the family creation between the female and male family is that they have the bloodline succession, but for the LGBTQ family, they have the unconditional love, affection. Yes. And then it will also affect the distribution of assets of the big family. With this law, those assets will be able to distribute to people who are not connected to the family by blood.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Can I add a bit?
ได้เลย
Okay. As I said that the Marriott, the Rainbow Coalition for Marriott Equality, we would like to support to change all the binary gender to the gender neutral. Not only for the person, but we change the parent, we change the husband and wife, we change everything with the binary gender, because the gender life will come with, if you would like to support the human life and gender life, is we will, I think you have to change the gender binary to the gender neutral first. And the second of that, we are not support the marriage in child. So we would like to change that the people can legally marry from 17 to 18 years old. That is the point that what we have to do this. And if you would like to support us, please go to the website again.
Okay. Thank you. Any more questions from the floor? There we go. Please introduce yourself and.
Here we go. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mika Tomi. I'm the Deputy Head of Mission at the Finnish Embassy. I am lucky to come from a country where gender-neutral marriage law is now was adopted by the Parliament. I'm lucky to come from a country where our Prime Minister was raised by 2 women, and I'm lucky to come from a country where you don't have to explain why you participated in one of our 20 to 30 Pride parades that we organize every year, but rather you have to explain why you did not participate. Last fall, all countries were able to give recommendations to Thailand regarding to human rights, and one of the recommendations that Finland raised was on LGBTQ rights, especially in education and non-discrimination in school, especially in sexual health education. My question to you, all being experts on this field, what concrete actions do you see that could be taken in the Thai educational institutions to improve the rights of the LGBTQI community? Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
ค่ะคำถามคือท่านมาจากสถานทูตฟินแลนด์นะคะแล้วก็เป็นประเทศที่เปิดรับกับ LGBTQ มากสิ่งที่อยากจะถามก็คืออยากถามความเห็นว่ามันจะมีมาตรการอะไรที่เป็นรูปธรรมที่สถาบันการศึกษาในไทยควรจะทำเพื่อสนับสนุนสิทธิของ LGBTQ ค่ะ
ครับแล้วก็เพิ่มเติมเข้าอ้างถึงข้อแนะนำของฟินแลนด์ที่ UPR process ปีที่แล้วนะครับที่ก็เลยแนะนำเรื่องนี้ด้วยนะครับ
Okay, first I think that in all the world we know about the binary gender, biological sex, and we learn and study about 1,000 years. I think that we can develop our education, to learn to know about gender. We talk about the SOGI models. There are 4 issues about the SOGI model. First is gender identity. What does that mean? And make the student know about that, and the expression, and what is expression means, and know the people who expression different from the biological sex, and then we all know about the biological sex, and then we should learn more about the sexuality. And if they have not a gender lens for binary, they can know the others who is live in the LGBTQ community, is a diversity, is a color, is our community. And then I think it should become to the change constitution. Also in the sector 27, and because our law is still in the gender binary. If we put the SOGI model into the law, into the constitutional I think that it will can make more variety policy and make more make the law see all the people, all the diversity. Thank you.
Okay, we have a question from online, which I wanted to share.
Phil,
Me. Okay.
Okay, thank you. For the Rainbow Coalition for Marriage and Equality, we have to support the gender neutral policy on every classroom, and not only the classroom but also in the toilet too. Every toilet have to support the gender neutral, and including the facility in the university and the school have to support gender neutral, support who they are, and they can express themselves as who they need. And especially in the education structure have to focus on people, every people. It's not only for the heterosexual but also in every people, inclusive with the disability people, and the others have opportunity to learn and study what they need and express themselves what they want.
Okay, for me, I will answer in the name of student of Faculty of Education. So it should, like the top is the Ministry of Education. They should, like in Thai is very bureaucracy, so we have to spread everything by bureaucracy, like by ระบบราชการ so it has to begin with Faculty of Education, School of Education in every university. Also the Ministry of Education have to make every school ready for this fact. Like nowadays they still think that is opinion of people, opinion of like some people, some group of people in this country, but this is fact. Is gender equality is the fact, and it is the truth that you have to accept, and it have to change the school for more fairly, more equal for everyone, every gender. So in school of education, who have to teach student to be a teacher. In my university, especially in my faculty, still have a professor who homophobia. So it has to change in every sector of education, since the Ministry of Education, school, and especially the curriculum. Because of the curriculum will change the school, will change environment of school. If the curriculum change, it will change how teacher have to teach. The lesson will change in each subject about gender will change. So it make more student make feel much better what they are, and also we have to do it along with the parents and the class. So it will change, and the important thing that is maybe not related to education but is important too is about mass communication.
Yes.
And mass communication, the journalists, the press have to change the perspective of LGBTQ to when you're watching television, is only the joke or some homophobic joke in so it have to change the perspective, student and children when they are trying to look for the figure, and if they think that they are LGBT and they cannot find out what is their figure, if I'm think that I'm if someone think that they are LGBT, maybe like they're trying to be gay. They think that they find out they are gay. And when you look at gay in television, there's also the joke. Then what if I'm a modest people? Then I don't think that is mine. But television always show that there are two binary. Like if you are not straight, you are LGBT people, you have to be like joker. So if it's not, it has to change. This is one important thing. Then it's related to education system too. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, first of all, I would like to thank you for your Finland's government for your recommendation on protecting the child and LGBT youth and student in school and educational institution. Your question is the concrete plan from us or from government? If it's from the government, I should not answer this, and you all know that I will be silent. So for us, I would like to mention a lot of things that Nong Mai Min already mentioned about us trying to stigmatize the LGBT student in the school and in the mass media. And one of the things that our civil society and LGBT community has been trying to change is that we're trying to change the school health education textbook from being called LGBT student as a deviant, and they have a sin from the past life, as the Buddhism said that. And also, one of the things that even though we changed this textbook, some of the professors, some of the teachers are still trying to teach what they like to teach. And that's why I'm mentioning about the implementation on the ground, that we have to move on beyond that. Apart from the concrete plan from the government, from the government, for our civil society and young community, we can see that we are being targeted from the government as well for trying to protecting young LGBT people. As you can see, I'm shouting out to best student, นักเรียนเลว they're trying to go to the Ministry of Education and call for the rights of LGBT students in the school to be able to wear uniform matching their gender identity. Right now, you can see the LGBT in Twitter. They're taking a picture, they dye their hair because of the pandemic, so they can do the virtual class. But when they go back to school in the coming months, they have to cut their hair. Some of the males are transgender female. They have to cut their hair. They cannot express their identity at all. So this is some of the things that was freeze during the pandemic, and you may not seen. And we have to still talking about this. We have to push about this. And when I talking about this youth are being targeted, there was monitor, there was charged, there was abuse, there would get violence. So one of the things that I want to address, especially this is like an international community, I would like to address that when we think about violence, it don't have to be the physical violence to you, like we hitting people, but violence can come in the form of lie, can come in the form of the face that's so inclusive, but on the ground, they don't do anything. They don't have any concrete plan. So this is one of the things that Thai people and Thai LGBT community are being faced in these challenges. When we talk about transgender, you can see them on the entertainment establishment, but there is no right for them. You see Y series, you see gay series, gay movie. We don't have marriage equality law. When you talk about sex worker community in Thailand, oh my God, they're so famous, but we are still criminalize them. This is one of the things that Thai government have to have the face to the international community that we are so inclusive, we are so progressive, but on the ground, silent.
So a big gap between the Tourism Authority of Thailand campaign and what is actually happening. Right. We have a question from online. Let me just read this here. One is from Jip Isara. Says, when will the cabinet pass the law? Thank you. So I think perhaps we can take that in two parts, which is partly what do you think is going to happen after the 60-day study period is over, because it's the bill that you introduced has now been pulled back by the cabinet and is being looked at. So what do you think is going to happen? And then, I guess, in general, do you think the cabinet is serious about trying to pass something? I mean, we haven't really talked about what's going on with their Civil Partnerships Act. I mean, it has disappeared 2 years ago, as I saw. Maybe it's at the Council of State. It's not quite clear. So what's going on with that?
Okay. In the meeting on the last Monday, I talked to them about also what happened next. They told me that they're gonna report this meeting in every detail to the cabinet, and then the cabinet will decide and order which way they go. Okay, make a duplicate that to compare with me. To considering in the parliament, and they take a time a bit, or maybe just let it flow, or maybe just take it off. But I can say that in the April it will be back in the parliament.
Okay.
Yes, I can say that.
It will be back in the parliament in April, in time for Songkran.
They told me like that. Okay.
Right. And what is, as far as anybody knows, what is the status of the civil partnerships law?
Okay, I think the civil partnership, I'm not anti civil partnership because it's different. The people can choose what they want. If the people want to choose the marriage equality, they should get this. If they want to sign up the civil partnership, okay, they can do that. It's different lifestyle. It is depend on the people choose. If the civil partnership want to keep it continue, go on, but it should be separate from the marriage equality because it's not the same. But right now the problem is some people think it's the same. That is a problem. So if you choose civil partnership, marriage equality will go. If the marriage equality, so civil partnership will go. No, we can have both. The people can choose. It's a benefits for the people who live in Thailand. Yes, but the people think that just choose one. No need to choose one. Yes.
Right. And unfortunately, we don't have anybody from the Ministry of Justice here to tell us about why they think civil partnerships is still a good idea. They had the opportunity, they were invited, but they declined to come. Does anybody else want to say anything about the civil partnerships? No? Okay. Do we have more questions from the floor? Please go ahead.
Hello. My name is Sirajit. I am a school teacher. I want to ask Miss Patricia and Kun Thanyawat. I want to name my situation. I am a lesbian and I want to have a baby with technology. And I want to know that which person of marriage equality will that will go to help me solve this situation and can I can have a baby แบบถูกกฎหมายด้วยเทคโนโลยีOkay.
Okay.
Okay, actually, if you have a baby, the Thai law is if you have a baby with a scientist, right? So you will get sperm, right, and then into your body, right? Okay, the Thai law, you already a mother. And at okay, if you have a baby by your own with some people's sperm, you can be a mother already in this law right now. But if the marriage equality passed in the version of Move Forward Party, so your spouse, your partner can accept your baby become a parents. So it's complete. ก็คือง่ายๆว่าสมมติถ้าหนูตั้งครรภ์ใช่ไหมคะลูกที่เกิดขึ้นมากฎหมายจะรับรองอยู่แล้วว่าเป็นลูกหนูเพราะหนูคลอดก็คือคู่สมรสของหนูก็คือรับรองเขาเป็นบุตรอีกหนึ่งคนก็คือ complete เหมือนชายหญิงเลยค่ะเพราะว่าการที่หนูคลอดลูกปุ๊บแล้วเนี่ยนั่นหมายถึงว่าลูกที่เกิดจากท้องผู้หญิงคือลูกของผู้หญิงนะทีนี้อีกคนหนึ่งไม่ว่าจะเป็น a biological male หรือผู้หญิงเนี่ยก็คือรับอุปการะบุตรที่เกิดจากหนูก็เป็นคู่สมรสค่ะค่ะ
Anybody else?
Okay. As you see in the chart, that the board of amendments article 144S that we support the give a birth with the technology. Both of us we support with that. But if you are two women, you need a sperm donor. But now in Thailand, the law is not allowed it. Child custody still belong to a mother who give birth. If we can change 1448, your partner will have the right for child custody. And before that, not only for the technology for give a birth, but also you and your partner cannot be both parents now in Thailand because in Thailand we have two specific who is a sperm donor is a father and who give a birth in the stomach it might be a woman. So if you would like to if both of you would like to be a parent, our amendments article 144S will can support that, and I hope that it can be real in the future.
I'm just going to ask our translator to translate Solsanat's like response too, because he explained it in Thai as well.
Yes, so Solsatan, the Thai part just now, which is a wrap up of what he said in English, is that in case of a female and female partner, the partner who is pregnant and give birth to the child is automatically become the mother. And under the Move Forward Party's marriage equality bill, her partner can also register as another mother who has legal custody of the child.
เชิญครับ
ก็คืออย่างนี้ค่ะจริงๆถ้าเราโรคชายเป็นใหญ่เนี่ยนะคะคือจริงๆโรคชายเป็นใหญ่มันเกิดจากที่ผู้ชายน่ะอิจฉาผู้หญิงนะคะหนูต้องนึกก่อนว่าผู้ชายอิจฉาผู้หญิงเพราะอะไรเพราะว่าผู้ชายเนี่ยรุกรานอาณาเขตสร้างอาณาเขตสะสมทรัพย์สมบัติจากการฆ่าฟันกันนะฮะสร้างทรัพย์สินมากมายเหลือเกินแต่เขาว่าไม่มีทางรู้ว่าลูกที่เขาเลี้ยงคือลูกของเขานะคะผู้หญิงเนี่ยมีสิทธิ์ตรงนี้ 100% ผู้หญิงมั่นใจได้เสมอว่าลูกที่คลอดจากตัวฉันคือลูกฉันเนาะเพราะฉะนั้นสิทธิ์ตรงเนี้ยค่ะมันทำให้ผู้ชายจึงออกวัฒนธรรมในการที่บอกให้ผู้หญิงต้องอยู่ในโอวาทอย่าออกไปเดินตาเสินนอกบ้านหรืออะไรอย่างเงี้ยเพราะว่าผู้ชายต้องการมั่นใจว่าลูกที่ฉันเลี้ยงคือลูกของฉันและเขาต้องการถ่ายทอดสมบัติที่เขาหาเนี่ยสู่สายเลือดของเขาแล้วเขาต้องการมั่นใจหากผู้หญิงคนนั้นเนี่ยไปมีเพศสัมพันธ์กับคนอื่นหรือท้องลูกคนอื่นเท่ากับผู้ชายคนนั้นจะไม่มีทางรู้เลยว่าเขาถ่ายทอดทรัพย์สมบัติที่เขาหามาทั้งชีวิตเนี่ยสู่สายเลือดของเขาหรือเปล่านะฮะทีนี้นั่นหมายถึงมันจึงจะเกิดกฎเกณฑ์อันนี้ขึ้นมาว่ากฎหมายมันจึงคุ้มครองว่าผู้หญิงที่คลอดลูกนะคะที่คลอดลูกเนี่ยนั่นคือสิทธิที่ผู้หญิง 100% ที่ไม่ต้องรับรองเลยแต่คนที่เป็นสามีน่ะต้องรับรองนะฮะทำไมมันต้องมีตรงนี้เพราะถ้าไม่มีใครการรับรองลูกอัตโนมัตินั่นหมายถึงว่าการตั้งครรภ์และคลอดลูกปุ๊บเกิดผู้ชายฉันเซ็นก่อนเธอฉันวิ่งมาก่อนแล้วฉันเอาลูกไปเลยหรือไม่มีใครเซ็นอันนี้ไม่ได้เท่ากับว่าเด็กถูกทิ้งค่ะ
So the world where the men dominated world, the origin of it came from the men are jealous of women because men are only focused on protecting their boundaries and killing other people to find more properties and money.
Not you.
So when he married his wife, it's impossible for him to know for sure that that child belongs to him. But the woman always know that the child is her child. So that's why the man gave order that his wife must stay at home and must obey his orders so that he can ensure that the child is his biological successor so that he can pass on his inheritance to the child. And so there must be a rule that the husband has to legally accept the child because when the child is born, the mother is 100% has the right for the child, but the husband has to express his intention to legally accept the child as his child. Otherwise, somebody might come and steal the child away, or nobody come to recognize the child's status.
Okay. Okay, I have another question here. This is from, this came in online. It's from Kun Bloom Siri Watanakon. The question is, how could we ensure that legal gender recognition will be pushed forward along with marriage equality? Because both are equally important, especially for transgender and genderqueer community members.
Okay, actually, I have to tell that actually I have a draft. I done it, really. Yes, I can speak right here. I already done it. But you know, as a member of parliament, right now is on the process for NGO work together. You know, because they have many solutions, and of course they have got a conflict about the solution. What's going on? What we should be, or something like that. It's about details, and so it's working. เครือข่ายเพื่อนกระเทยไทย Thai TGA working right now. So I'm going to the meeting, but not for a consult or anything. I'm just going in for watching the process. And if they done, and then I will bring the bill to compare with my bill, and then I will develop it again and will bring up to the parliament. Yes.
Okay. Please, others.
we already use the gender neutral language in this law bill. A transgender and non-binary can use the concept to change the gender recognition law too. So as Kun Boom said, in the law bill, we support all the gender neutral. Is everything about the binary gender have to change to gender neutral in every segment of the law.
Anyone else like to comment?
Sorry. I'm not talking on behalf of a person who proposed this draft, because there are so many drafts on the gender recognition in Thailand, and I would say that there have been so many drafts of the gender recognition in Thailand, whether it's from M to F or M to X or M to something else or M to nothing. One of the things I would like to say that each of these committee or group that trying to propose different drafts, they have different implication and different approach to get the gender recognition. But I think the root of the gender recognition is that we're not providing the right as the society, as the society want it to be. What I'm talking about, we have to understand the self-determination of the transgender, the non-binary people. We're not giving them that we have M, F, X, or whatever. And for LGBT, you just get one thing, or LGBT you can access for the change. But I believe that at the end of the day, it's not about change or not, or having or not having. It's about how we recognize who they are and how we recognize their self-determination. Maybe there are so many approaches that we can start from, giving them from one to another, but at the end, it's not the absolute or the universal way to do that, because you know that in the other country, when they started to do M to F or M to X or any of this, they have to progress more and they have to learn from their past though. So I think this is the model that we have to consider, that right now, what is the situation of our community and what is the real needs of the community. And yeah, we have been pushing this for a long time, and the society trying to push back all the time. And there always be a new group and new things they're trying to propose in this regulation. What I mean is that before there is no like gender X, right? But right now they want gender X. But now, before that, maybe there is no the draft for like non-identified, for example. But now we want this. So at the end of the day, it's not just the option. It's about how we recognize them and giving them the right to choose. It's not just like we give you one thing. This is your things. It's about we understand your rights and you can choose whatever you want. So
Actually, I tell you more. Actually, about 2 months ago, I asked about gender recognition in the parliament to the cabinet, and then the cabinet said to me, answer in the parliament that okay, there are a lot of solutions and there are a lot of conflict in the LGBT community. So, cabinet waiting for the Thai TGA bill also. So I think that I'm not satisfied his answer, because he has got a budget, he has got a people for working for this, but I think that the cabinet don't do much anything like the 2 years before, because I have met him in the meeting and they talk about the gender recognition, and then some rumor comes out that okay, it's not the first ranking, it's not much important, so this issue is will bring down, and then if we do, if we don't, something like that. But I understand about Base said that about the self-determination, about documentary can change the title name or sex following what they identify themselves. But as I'm work for the gender responsive budgeting, the state have to decide the protocol for make the equity meters for pass through the budgeting for make the equality happen in every gender. So inside of the state have to decide something for make a policy. Yes.
Okay. I think we've got maybe time for one more question before I ask the speakers to wrap up. Anybody have one more question? Going once, twice. If not, let me ask each of the speakers if they want to just say a few more words, anything that they didn't cover that they do want to cover. And I'll just follow the order of the original speakers, just to give everybody a last word.
Okay, as a member of parliament, I will say right now, I will do my best for equality. I want to make gender equality happen in Thailand. Marriage equality is a one thing, is a one big umbrella of gender equality. When I work in the parliament, I said gender equality. You will surprise gender equality. They don't know deeply much, and then some people don't know about that very well. When I'm talking about gender equality, they just, okay, what? But you know, I said to you last thing that today, gender is not equal always, right? So that's why we put equality after gender. So I'm gonna make equality for every gender. Thank you.
Thank you very much. คุณแพท
โอเค
คุณแพทก่อนนะครับเอาแล้วแต่อยู่ดัดสินใจครับ
Okay. For the rainbow coalition for the marriage equality, we will do as much as we can. If anything that we can support you or support any gender or human right, please tell us. And now what we do, the first thing we can share any resource, not only for the knowledge and also for the people. We can exchange about what we learned and what we have done in the past, and we have to build it together and move it together. I know this part is not easy, but if we do together, I think it will happen. And the second, we support every technology, such as the website that we collect all the signature from the website. If any technology can support and share the gender knowledge, I think we will do as much as we can. And the last thing, we will build the community. We will now we not only for the collect the site from the website, but we go on ground. It's not for the north, southeast, south, or every in Thailand and in the other country. If you are Thai, please go to support 144a.org and sign it. Thank you.
Sign it.
คุณเบสครับ
I signed already, okay? Now your turn. So, my last word is that I would like to mention about the UPR review last year, which is one of the interesting things that the international community and the state, different states give 12 recommendations related to the LGBT rights in Thailand. And thank you to Nusia Foundation for nominating me to do some of the brief with the diplomats. And one of the things that I would like to say when we're trying to monitoring the government to hold this accountable to protect the LGBTQ rights, especially youth or the rights of the marriage equality or gender recognition. The people who monitoring and trying to watchdog the government, we're trying to have a plan. We want to have the strategy. But one of the things is that we are being targeted from the government all the time, since we want to push this, or we want to monitoring this, or we want to give a voice to the public. So you can, right now you can hear about the non-profit bill that the government trying to regulate the non-profit organization in Thailand. And you can see we are not non-profit. I'm youth community, and non-mime is also youth community. We don't have resolve from the government to push this. We went on ground by our fund. We went on ground by social media. Shout out to the social media people. So you can see from the international community that these things we're trying to push are really the things are from the ground, really from the grassroots people. And we help each other to having the voice, even we are not being amplified by the government. So we cannot wait for the new election that we can have. We don't know that the new election we will have the progressive government or not, but I need the attention of the international community to see that all of us, we pushing by ourselves, and the government never have hold the right of LGBT people accountable at all. So thank you today for giving me a voice. Giving me a chance to say my word. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I might be the one who get less information than another one. So one thing I have to say, like in the name of youth power, we are power and powerful. So then I want to say to the cabinet, the politician, and the judge, and I want to say to you that we are youth and we are so powerful, and this is our generation and this is our time. Don't mess up with us. So we will fight until the day that you drop dead. So just take it easy. Give us what we want. Like, it's very easy. Just like people, human want to marry, then how hard it is. So don't do something dumb anymore. Like, give us what we want and don't mess up with us. Thank you.
I would say one last thing, which is as an observer, I've noticed over the last several years, particularly since the military coup in 2014, that there was always a discussion within the diplomatic community and sometimes the United Nations as well that, well, the situation on human rights is quite bad, but at least on LGBT rights, it looks like the government is going in the right direction. And there's been this narrative that they're going in the right direction. And I think the takeaway from the UPR process was that the international community still wants to believe that and still wants to push that. What I'm also hearing, and I think it's partly identifiable by the fact that we don't have a government representative here, is that the government is hesitating, or it's balking, or it's stepping back from at least understandings I think that a lot of people had that they were going to move forward with the LGBT rights agenda, that this was something that wasn't seen as political but was something is seen as non-discriminatory, equal rights for everyone. And the fact that it is not moving forward at this point, and that even a first draft, a first reading of a bill is pulled back for further study, indicates that perhaps things are not going in the right direction. So watch this space. I think that it is going to be a very eventful year for LGBT rights. Obviously, I think we hope that there will be progress. We hope that we'll have more things to report and maybe can have another panel like this with a government representative, hopefully. And I want to thank you all very much for coming out. I want to thank the panelists for appearing. I want to thank our translator, Kunut, for taking care and working through this very much. We appreciate it. And thank you all, those of you who came to the club. Club's open for business. If you like what you see, join the membership. This Friday, there's going to be an opening of street art by Headache Stencil starting at 6:30. Please come for that too. And thank you very much.
Don't forget to sign.
Don't forget to sign.